Well, Shelly talk some things in the press conference, that is very interesting. Shelly spoke about her recovery, the difference between this training period and the ones that she has had in the past 3 years. In fact, Shelly said that this is the best she has ever been. And the interviewer said, what contribute to that? And Shelly said it's about recovery. Shelly said it's about, taking the time off, which is very critical. Are you going to train today? Are you not going to train today? It's very, very interesting. And I deduce a lot of things from this, that the injury situation that might be happening over at a certain particular camp, it could be attributed to the lack of recovery where the athletes are concerned. So that might be something that needs to be taken into consideration. Also, Shelly promised something special, and we look forward to that. Shelly said that she always wants to win and run fast. One of the things that Shelly done, Shelly not done. Shelly is a very competitive. That's why I see Shelly run our sports day and our son's sports day, and she blaze up the track, and people are talking about, yo, Shelly shouldn't do it and whatever. Oh, no, 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 nothing about tracks, man. Oh, no, 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 nothing about Shelly. Shelly is very competitive. Shelly don't care what she line up. Shelly want to win and run fast. So people want to listen and check in to this press conference, very insightful one from Shelly and Fraser Pryce, and we have to look forward. Shelly promised something special. You get what I say? Listen what I go on.
Widely regarded as one of the best sprinters of all time. Our guest is, of course, Shelly Ann Fraser Pryce, 3 times an Olympic gold medalist, including individual wins in Beijing and London. Shelly Ann has amassed a staggering collection of 10 gold medals from the World Championships, making her the most decorated individual female sprinter in history. She's the 3rd fastest woman of all time, and in 2023 she was the Laureus Sportswoman of the Year. Welcome to Doha. How are things?
Good. I said earlier when I came here, I got in on Monday morning about 5 a.m. The flight was good over. I got to sleep for about 2 hours, and surprisingly it wasn't so hot, which was good. I was like, okay, it's not too bad. Maybe it's the time of the year, but I'm really excited to be here. 2019 was really special for me. I would like to think of Doha as a place of, defying the odds, because I had my son in 2017, so I was coming back from having my son. I had the off year in 2018, so I had time to really get myself back, in shape and ready to go. And 2019, being able to cross that line after having my son, after turning 30, where a lot of persons think that when women turn 30, then put on top of that having a child, they kind of just put you in a box. But being able to have that moment in Doha, and not only that moment, but the moment of having my son on the track, was really special. So I really look forward to, again, having a spectacular, evening tomorrow, and excited about that. Now that my son is a bit older and he plays football, I mean, not that I like that, I wish he was running track, but we'll take football. So he plays football. He's 7, he's going to be turning 8. So right now, my house is pretty, hectic. My son plays football, so I have to leave practice to go to football training, or on the weekend I have to go to tournament from the track, as well as chess. So he plays chess as well. So now I'm navigate a system where my son plays chess, he plays football. I go to these tournaments, and there are so many kids that come to the tent, and they'll be like, Shelly Ann is over there. And they'll be like, hi, and I'm like, hi. And they're like, oh, can we get a picture? And I'm like, unfortunately, I'm here, being a mommy and watching my son, and I really don't want to take, his time and just focus on that. And then we have homework, and then we're still training at 5 a.m. And I must say it has been very, very difficult, the past year, because he's much more aware. He's so involved in school. We have so much that's going on. So splitting the time between those things can be very challenging. But I'm grateful for the support that I have in my husband and also my team. So I've been able to balance it. Some days are good, some days are not so good. Some days I've missed practice, like I missed Mother's Day because I was running in China. So that was, one of those moments. And then I actually traveled on the day he won his tournament. So, it's such a struggle, but at the same time, I'm grateful for the moments that I have and being present in those moments with him. And hopefully I'll be able to, pass on some amount of encouragement and, just being able to empower him as well to understand that, sometimes we have to make sacrifices. Sometimes we don't get to do the things we want to do, and that's okay. But we cherish the moments when we have the time to do it. Of course. It's important that I show up for my son and show up as I am, because I think it's very important that he sees that, I'm competitive. I love to compete, and he sees that. He was excited. 2 years ago, it was his first sports day, and we ran, and he wasn't so into it because he wasn't having a good sports day. And now he has won two races at sports day, and he was excited. He's like, "Mommy, you have to run." And just that pride and that, joy that I actually saw in his face when I crossed that line was truly special. And if you know, as Jamaican, sports day is a must as a parent. You have to be. If you talk about track and field and you talk about athletics in Jamaica and you see what we've been able to produce over the years, you know that we're in capable hands. You come to our high school championship, it's so strict, it's so rigorous, just the training, the competition. So you find that year after year, we're going to be producing great athletes coming out of high school. And then we're hoping that they make that transition. We're hoping that they're linked with the best coaches, the best management, and eventually they'll be able to get to that level. And not only that, they have seen athletes like us who continue to, dominate, to continue to persevere, continue to really show up and give up our best. So I think those scenarios help to encourage them to understand that they already have a platform, they already have the blueprint, they already know what we're capable of, they already know we're strong, they already know we're fierce. So for me, they have all the ingredients that they need to, basically pick and choose whichever they want and whoever they want to emulate. And I think those kind of experiences will help to, continue to grow our sport in Jamaica. And I've seen a lot of our students, our athletes come year after year, and they have made the transition. So I don't think we have anything to worry about in Jamaica. I would say the biggest change I've seen is that ownership, athletes, whether they're young or older athletes, really just owning their space and really showing up and not, really scared of whoever is in that race. And I think that's good for athletics when you know that, okay, the athletes are going to show up and they're going to dominate and they're going to do their best. Doesn't matter who is beside them or, in front of them or behind them, they're there to really stake their claim. And I think that's where you get good competition. That's where you get, just to see the individuals, their personalities, what they're made of. And I think that's very important in the sport, where when we just started, a lot of us, we were very shy, we were, timid, we were unsure of what we really wanted to do. But I think this generation of athletes that's coming out are really, they know who they are, they know what they want, and they're not afraid to actually say that. And I think that's inspiring. Maybe, I'm not sure. I think social media have a lot to do with it as well, where they're seeing different persons, they're seeing behind the scenes, they're seeing personalities, and I think for them, they're inspired by that and they want that. They're able to relive moments and see those moments live when it happens, and I think that, inspires them, and that says to them, okay, this is where I want to be, because they have been seeing it, and there's no greater feeling than seeing something that you want to accomplish. You see it in somebody else, and then you want that for yourself. And the more you see it, the more you're able to believe that it's possible for you. What I would want to see right now, that's such a hard question, I think. I don't know, can we go get, if I wasn't a sprinter? I would do hurdles. I actually love the hurdles. I told this funny story like years ago when I started track. When I went to Wilmot High School, we all went to training the first day, and we all had to attempt an event. And I remember our coach putting us all in a line, and he was like, okay, you're going to try the hurdles, you're going to do long jump, you're going to do high jump. And then he picked everybody else, and I was the only person standing. And I'm like, so what am I going to do? He said, oh, you're a sprinter. Like, that's it. I'm like, try nothing else? He's like, no, nothing else. So I've always been just a sprinter. Factors that are on my side. So I can only speak on my side. Like, of course, I'm an older athlete, so I have to make sure that I'm pacing myself as best as I can. And for me, I think being at the World Championship was all the way in September, I think it works for some of us, especially that, in September, it's just the World Championship, and then that's it's finished. I kind of really like that setup because you get to the World Championship and you're peaking for that championship. You win your championship, you're on such a high. A lot of persons want to walk away with that high. It's hard now to regroup and to come again and to run more races after that. You know, it takes a lot of strength, you know, to really, you know, get yourself to stay grounded and to compete for the rest of the season. So I quite like that it's in September and that works for me. So now you have to really gauge how you run and when you run. So, you know, being that last year I had, you know, a crazy year, it has definitely given me time to take some time. So I was able to take 2 months off and regroup and then really mentally, not just physically, mentally kind of get myself in that space to say, okay, we're going to attack this year, we're going to be competitive, we're going to compete, and we're going to show up. So that gave us the opportunity to really go back to the drawing board, get back to practice, and know that you don't have to rush the process because you do have time. Yeah, for me, the last 2 years I've raced sparingly, so I really want to get back into that race sharpness. I really want to get back into some competitive races and really just kind of know where I'm at and how training has been going. Training has been fantastic by far. This has been the best year I've had in terms of training in the last 3 years. So I'm really looking forward to see, you know, just the execution and really, you know, just working on putting the race together tomorrow. And I think tomorrow is going to be special, and I'm really excited about that. You know, excited to have that competitive drive because, again, the last 2 years I have not raced much. And even though you're doing track for such a long time, you still need to be practicing your craft, and the best way to do that is to show up in races. Difference in training really has been, you know, just recovery. I think that's been the difference. Being able to say, okay, then we're going to train today, or we're not going to train on Tuesday, we're going to train Wednesday, and it's tailored towards that to make sure that I have enough time to really rest and to recover. Because ultimately, yes, you want to work hard, but you want to work smart, and it's a long season, and I think that has been the privilege for me. It's a longer season, so days when I'm not feeling well or I think I need some time off, I'm able to get that time off and I'm able to go again. And I think that has been the plus for me, is making sure that it wasn't crunch time, because in Budapest 2023, I hurt my hamstring on the backstretch of the relay, and that took some time for me to come back because the Olympics was very early. So I was, you know, forced in a box to really get back to practice, which for me ideally wouldn't have been how I wanted it, but that was the case. So I think for me, having the time to train, and days when you say, okay, then things aren't feeling so good, so you need to step back a bit and then go again.